Hey everyone, welcome. Everyone here is early right now. I like getting places early. Who else likes to arrive early? I'm not a fan of making the other person wait whenever I have an appointment. So if you know that, if you've ever had an appointment with me, you might notice that I come annoyingly early. Like, Billy, we said 4 o'clock. Why are you? It's like 3:40. What are you doing? That's just what I like to do. At least 10 to 15 minutes too early. Yeah, that's what I do. And if I'm not early, I feel like I'm late. Like if I arrive there right on time, I feel so stressed all the way up until that point. Even though I don't have to like feel guilty about it, I feel really stressed. So I just feel really comfortable to leave early, get somewhere early, and then relax versus like having to rush. You know, you're on the bus and the bus hasn't gotten there yet and you're like really stressing. I actually did a fan meetup this year in Korea in the very beginning of July. I had a fan meetup in Seoul. And on the very day I did my fan meetup, so I left early as usual. I was planning to get there 30 minutes early. I left early, plenty of time. You know, I've taken the same route dozens of times. I even took it twice that same, the week right before. So I'm like, I know I could do this. So I get in the bus, perfect, catch the right bus, everything's going, I can just relax. No, turns out that was the biggest political, they did like a rally, kind of like a protest and a rally. 15,000 people were all in one area of Seoul. And because of that, the traffic was at a standstill for an extra hour. Like a full hour and a half, the bus was like walking. Seriously. And I ended up arriving an hour and a half late. So it took me 2 hours extra. Normally it's a 1 hour and a half trip. But because of that, it was a 3.5 hour trip to get to the exact same place on the one day that I really don't want to be late. So it was pretty embarrassing. Anyone who was there knows what happened. Like, where's Billy? At Billy's, you had the really large fan meetup. I think like, I heard something fall in my kid's room, and then my kid yelled out from downstairs, "Dad, are you okay?" I don't know what that was. I'm guessing some of his toys fell over. So yeah, anyone who was at the fan meeting would be like, "Yeah, it's a fan meetup. There's like 50 people here, but where is Billy for Billy's fan meetup?" So yeah, next time I'm gonna be so paranoid. I'm probably gonna be there like 5 hours early. So whatever time I set for the next fan meetup, if you want some extra time, if you want to like hang out with me longer, just come like a few hours early and you might see me like sitting on the bench, like just relaxing, using my cell phone. I'm like, I'm not going to be late for this one. Yeah. Yeah, Lauren, that fan meet was no Billy Korean. That's right. I did eventually show up, and I don't know if anyone left before I came. I'm not sure if anyone got there, realized they couldn't wait for me to arrive and took off. I didn't see. It seemed though like at least everyone was still there from what I had heard. It seemed like everyone was just waiting there for me. Speaking of which, I'm going to be uploading a video about that. Not the live stream, not the meetup that we had, but I filmed a video while we were there, which maybe you've forgotten about it if you were in the video. I'm going to be uploading that, I think, in a few months. So you can expect that sometime before the end of the year. It might even be next month. Let me check, actually. I'm really curious. Oh, and if you're new here, if this is your first live stream, we start at 2 o'clock So right now it's just free time. Oh, well, look at that. Next Friday, not this week Friday, but next week Friday will be that video that I filmed at my fan meetup. We did an interview. I asked people in Korean why they're learning Korean, and they introduced themselves, and I edited it really nice. And yeah, it's pretty short, but it should be fun. I had fun doing that and also editing it afterward. We got a lot of cool answers, and I was surprised. Some people spoke a lot. Well, actually, not some. A larger number of people actually were speaking Korean, which was great. But this week Friday is a video with me and my kid. I filmed 2 this year in summer when I was there. We filmed one at the Gyeongbokgung, so you might have seen that, where we wear hanbok and we go to the palace. And then I filmed another one where we went to the Hangul Museum, and that's the one I'm going to be uploading this Friday, so you'll see that one. And then next Friday will be the video I filmed at the fan meetup, interviewing people. Hey, Secretive, welcome. Naito says, next fan meetup, Billy will just camp on the location. Yes, some places allow you to bring tents. I'm not sure if you're allowed to sleep, though, overnight. I don't think so. I think you're supposed to leave. I'm not sure how that works, but I have seen a lot of people with tents. I just don't think that they're sleeping there. But I don't know. Maybe they do. Maybe that's another thing. I've never tried it before. Oh, yeah. So, let's see. Patrick, you say, I understand your point of view. You're talking about arriving super early. But you say, you try not to be late, but I don't like waiting somewhere because I'm bored and I don't like being bored. Okay, yeah, me too. But at the same time, like, I weigh it like this. Am I more comfortable being bored? Or am I more comfortable? I shouldn't say it like that. What makes me more stressed? Like, I'm trying to avoid that pain. What gives me more pain and more stress? Is it being late or is it being early? And being early is not, it's not a breeze. It's uncomfortable. You don't have anything to do. You might feel awkward if you're at a location too early. You have to, there's nothing to do in the area, right? You have to find a coffee shop to sit down and relax, and your cell phone, you don't want to use your cell phone if the battery's low, whatever reason. It's stressful. But I find that the stress of being late weighs that not just a little bit more, but it's like, 4 times more than that feeling for me. So it's too much of a difference. I can't deal with it. Now, if there's a close location, like I know it's across the street, it takes me, 10 minutes to get there. Like you take one bus from one place to another and it only takes an hour and you get off and you know where your stop is. Like that sort of simple thing. I don't bother getting super early for that type of thing. The fan meetup, though, wasn't quite in that sort of location, which is why I wanted to go early. But for normal things, like say if I'm taking the bus from one area that I stay in Suwon directly to Gangnam, like I know that bus takes 45 minutes, an hour on the weekend. I know how often it comes. It's every 5 minutes. It's every 10 minutes if it's slow. So I can plan to get to a location easily within 5 or 10 minutes of when I'm supposed to be there. And even if I'm late, it's not going to be more than a few minutes. So I don't go early for that. But for anything else, if it's a new location, or if it's someplace where you have to transfer and you have to hope that the next train will be there in time and that you don't miss that for like a 20-minute gap, which happens. For anything like that, I always make sure I allow enough time for to miss the train each time, like to miss the subway. So you might have to add an extra, 15 minutes for this stop and, 10 minutes to transfer for this one, just so that you don't miss them. And then I'll end up getting there, early, but it's better than maybe not having allowed that time and then stressing and barely getting there on time. That's also stressful. So that's my philosophy about it. Every time, though, I go to Korea, I stay in an area of Suwon, which is the place you've seen me do the live streams at with Suwon Castle. This time, however, I'm going to be going to Korea again I'll be in there in November for 3 weeks. And this time, I'm not going to be staying in Suwon. For the first time, I'm going to be staying in Seoul, in the Seoul area. So I'm quite excited. I've never been able to do that before. I've always wondered what would it be like to not have to take an hour-long bus to go to Seoul every day. I normally would take a bus for an hour back everywhere I go to meet anyone, because everyone I know is in Seoul. So no matter what video I'm doing, I take an hour-long bus and then take a subway within Seoul. But this time I wake up, look outside, and I'm in Seoul already. Like I can just grab a taxi to go some places or just get on, a subway and go, a couple stops or something. So I'm excited about this time. I'll also try to do a live stream while I'm over there too. So look out for that. As far as live streams go, the schedule changed for the time being. It might be permanent, I'm not sure, but for the time being, the schedule is 2 on and then 1 off. It used to be 3 on and 1 off, but I switched it because I needed time to do editing and do my projects. There's also a different project I'm working on. I'll announce a little bit later. But so that means that since I did a live stream last Sunday, and I'm doing one this Sunday today, next Sunday there will not be a live stream, but the live stream after that will be the Sunday after that. So 2 Sundays from now, there will be another live stream, but next Sunday there is no live stream. And I'll announce this again at the end of the lesson in case you're not listening. If you're not listening, you won't know that, but you'll hear it again. You'll hear it your first time, not again if you didn't hear it right now because you're not hearing me say it. You know what I'm talking about. Except if you're not here, you don't know what I'm talking about, but you get it. Everyone who's watching now. Okay, so that's cleared up. And then that will be the last one. So today's live stream, and then none next Sunday. And then the next Sunday after that, there will be a live stream. But then no live stream the next Sunday after that, I think, because it's like right before I'm leaving, without telling the exact day and time and flight I'm on. It's close to where I'm leaving, such that I shouldn't do a live stream that day because I should start packing my equipment. It takes about a week or so to take everything out and put it in my room and in the suitcase and pick out the stuff I want. So I need time to do that. And I use a lot of my equipment for live streaming as well. So it'll be a bit tricky if I have to take everything down and then, a few days later I have to immediately pack it up. So to avoid that, I'm going to think about it, whether I will do another live stream at that Sunday, but I'll let you know. Or maybe I'll do a different live stream that's easier to do, that doesn't require a lot of preparation, because I do need a lot of time to prepare for this trip. I'm going to be planning my schedule for each day as I can in advance. Okay. Yeah, everyone, welcome. We'll get started in just a bit. You're still here early. See, I start these live streams early. Even these live streams, I used to start them like right before 2 o'clock. Like I would start them at like 1:55. But then what happened is sometimes I would start them right at 1:55. And because of some problem, like maybe my computer would suddenly freeze or the program would update, I would be like the laptop battery would die, anything, I would end up having to delay it or whatever. And then I would end up starting late, and I didn't like that. So that's why I always start like 20 minutes early for these live streams, just so that we can check if there's anything going on, anything I have to fix. The live stream we're going to be doing today is a beginner lesson, but it's not like brand new beginner. Just like last Sunday's, this would be, I would say, high beginner. This is not a form that you need to know if you're still learning how to read and write the alphabet. You're still learning how to conjugate the Yule form. If you're in that level, low beginner level, this would not be the form for you. Feel free to take notes, of course, but this is more of a high beginner. When you're starting to transition into actual full conversations, that's when you need this form. But because it's simple, it is still in the beginner level. Hold on, I see a few messages from my members in here. And they're talking to someone else. So I thought they were talking to me. Samantha Johnson, Miguk, Oppa, welcome. Bonnie, welcome. Lauren Holton, do you have any videos about natural conversations with friends? You mean a Korean speaking with a Korean? The most natural you're going to see as far as like that, the most natural, just plain conversations, nothing else going on, is going to be my interviews, my street interviews, because in those you just hear Koreans talking and nothing else. But any of my Glass with Billy episodes, you can find lots of those where I'm just speaking in Korean. That's pretty common, where we're doing the whole thing in Korean. It's not too uncommon to find those videos. But if you just want to hear a natural Korean conversation, two Koreans speaking with each other, The closest would be my interviews, the street interview series, but I don't have anything else because I don't usually have multiple Koreans together at the same time to do filming together. It's usually me and one other person, but we'll see. If there's a good idea for a type of video that I can come up with that would have that, then yeah, I would like to make it. But as of yet, I don't have any you just want to hear someone speaking Korean with subtitles, the end. There aren't too many channels that offer that, at least not that's natural, I'll say. Like if you want something that's not just scripted, but something that's actually natural, there aren't going to be too many things out there that have that. I would just say, watch a YouTuber in Korean, watch a Korean YouTuber, Korean vlogger like that, or a podcast, for example, live variety shows, on TV, that kind of thing. Danny asks, are you going to Suwon? This trip, no, I'm actually not going to be in Suwon. Like for the first time in forever, I'm going to have to get used to being in another location, which is going to be strange. But it'll be cool also because, like I said, I'll be in Seoul. So that means normally I would have to stop. I wouldn't be able to start filming any earlier than like 10 or 11 because of the time to get to a location. And I wouldn't be able to finish filming any later than like 9 or 10 because I have to then take the bus and the subway to get back to my house in Suwon. But this time, I mean, I could potentially hang out with someone until like 10 or 11 and then easily just take a taxi back home. So I don't know, will that change the types of videos that I can do this trip? I have no idea. But if you have suggestions for things you'd like to see, please let me know. I'm interested in those. I'm still making plans for what I'm going to do. How is everyone's Korean studies going lately? Have you learned anything interesting? Let me know in the chat if there's anything interesting you've learned lately. Oh yeah, where's our background from? This was actually, this is not in the right season. I time traveled a little bit because I'm getting tired of the hot weather. I mean, I know it's going away now, but I'm a little tired of the hot weather. So I just wanted to go somewhere with, nice, I guess this would be nice, like spring weather, right? Maybe like April or May, I would guess sometime around then. March or April. So yeah, I turned back the time just for this class today. Paulina, you said you learned a bunch of idioms with noon. There are a lot of idioms with noon. Yeah. What's one that you learned? What's one that you learned? Lauren, you say your flatmate speaks Korean. Oh, that's awesome. Like legendary StarCraft. I guess a StarCraft player says 시작하겠습니다 when they're starting. Yeah, you did spell it correctly. Oh wait, there's a double S letter at the bottom of 하겠습니다. Other than that, yes, you did spell it correctly. 인사. Yeah, Aaron. 인사. Yeah, there'll be like someone who's popular, who has lots of friends inside the group. Versus the opposite would be assa for outsider, assa. And that's basically a loser, someone with no friends. Although there are other words for that, typically, that sort of thing. You learned 는 바람 today. Oh yeah, I do have a live stream about that also if you're curious. But that would be a more intermediate form, I would say. Pretty decent intermediate form. If you are, quick announcements. If you are a Patreon member, make sure to get today's outline and worksheet for the live stream. You can find that on Patreon. The worksheet's already there and the outline will be up. This thing I'm holding right here. It will be up as soon as the live stream's over. So you can check those out. That is for all Patreon members. So if you would like to get outlines for every single stream I've ever done, as well as all the worksheets, as well as sometimes behind the scenes stuff, not too often, but then I'll ask you for opinions on videos before everyone else gets to see them, stuff like that. Consider joining my Patreon. It does help me out a lot. The way that I can keep doing these videos, actually, I don't make very much money from YouTube advertisements because the category of this channel is education. And as a result, if I get 1,000 views, I might only make a certain amount of money, say $1 or $2 or less. But another channel with 1,000 views, say in entertainment or gaming, they could get, $10, $20, depending on the video, because of the type of advertising that we get is different. So I rely a lot on donations from you, Patreon donations, everything like that. Just letting you know, I do get a lot from you, and I do really appreciate that. Thank you. Also, if you are a channel member, of which many of you are, you also get access to these abridged live stream versions the same night that they go up. Everyone else, you'll have to wait until, I think this week will be like Wednesday night or Thursday before I upload it. But members get to watch it the same day it goes up. Also, if you're not already a member of my Discord, check it out. We added some new features and there's more to come as well soon. We have a new correct questions channel and it's open 24/7, completely free. You can find a link in the video description below. Other than that, let's see. What else do I got? Why is it not showing up here? Oh. Okay, I don't know why it's not showing up here. Hold on. This is not showing up. Okay, I'll have to look at that later. It's not showing up. Okay, well, I do have merchandise. There's a link in the description, but it's not showing up. I guess they changed something. I'll have to take a look at that. And that's the only announcements to give you. Again, remember, next Sunday, no live stream. But the next Sunday after that, there will be. So let's see what else there is to say in the chat, and then we're going to start. Pancake, are you planning to release Korean Made Simple 4? No, I don't have any draft of that. So at the moment, no. I won't say never, but I don't have any plans for it. Made or Mad E says, I meant to say it was recently explained to me the like 하러 갔다 can also mean past intention without action. I'm not sure what you mean by that. It literally means to go to do something. So if you say, like, I went to go buy something, something like 사러 갔다, 사러 갔어요, it means you went to go buy it. It doesn't imply whether you bought it or not, but it does mean you went in order to go buy it. So it wouldn't mean without action. It would show intention, as in your intention is to go to buy it, but it would be with action. So unless you're referring to something else, you might want to clarify that. Lady Black, the reading group. Yeah, there's a reading group. I should announce that too. There's a reading group in the Discord channel where they read. And yeah, and it's a group. I hope I've explained that pretty well. But that's also free and open. I've dropped by there like once, I think. Probably should stop by there again and crash it. Not let them know I'm going. Samantha! Samantha Johnson, thank you so much. I'm going to put your name right here at the top. Samantha J. We give 20 dabs, our first dabs today, and then we'll get started with the lesson. I'm excited about this topic today. Like every topic, but this one too. Let's see here. Okay. I always love when the music finishes before I finish dabbing, and then I'm just like awkwardly in silence, like doing this. It was even better when I was doing the live streams in Korea outside, and there were some people looking at me while walking by, and all they would see is this guy, wearing a hat, speaking Korean occasionally, and just like dabbing in the middle of like some like traditional Korean village. And I'm just like behind some random Korean house next to the Korean outhouse, and just like tourists walking by with their cameras, and there's this guy back there on his camera with his phone open and everything. Yeah, that's okay. So let's get started with the lesson. Today we're going to be learning how to say to start or to stop doing something. So you're going to be using these forms with action verbs. And the way to make these forms is very simple, but they're different. How you say to start and to stop is not just a different verb, but it's made in a completely different way. So if this is your first time learning about these verbs, make a note to yourself before anything else. These are completely different forms. You are not simply switching the verb. You're not just switching one word you use. They are completely unrelated forms. I don't want to see people, I don't mean this in a mean way, but pay attention and take notes, because I don't want to see people that are using this form and just changing the verb and thinking that it now means to stop doing something. They're completely different forms. So separate to start and stop in your head. They're different. They're only similar to us in English. The first form we're going to be learning is how to say to start doing something. Oops. I'm just going to write the whole form out. Okay, this is the whole form expanded. Usually don't need the object marker here. I'm just putting it here as well. It's optional. The way to make it, you take an action verb stem. So if your verb is hada, well, the verb stem is simply removing ta, and that's it. You have to start, though, with that dictionary form. So you can't start with heyo and get hey. It has to be the verb unconjugated, then you get the stem, and then you attach gi. So hada would become hagi. Then you have a space, and then you use the verb 시작하다. 시작하다 means to start or to begin. So literally what you get is to start or begin, and then what is this part? For example, hagi. The action verb stem with gi changes that verb into a noun. This is kind of like ing in English. So hada, to do, hagi would mean, let me say that again. So if hada means to do, the action verb, then hagi means doing. So literally what you're saying is to start doing something. Again, to say to stop doing something, it is not this form. You don't change this. It'll be a different thing. But for start is actually just like English. So you're literally saying to start doing something. And then whatever you put before here is what you're starting to do or to begin to do. That's pretty much it. I was going to give you an example sentence first, but I want you to just make the example sentence. I want you to make our example sentence today. I want you to say this sentence. Start now. Start now. Start now. Now you don't know which of those is me actually telling it to you, and which is telling you the translation you're supposed to do. Okay, that was funnier in my head before I said it. Okay, make the sentence start now. You can make it any way you'd like. Yeah, Yuntan, I know what you're writing. 시작. Tip though, when you're extending a sound, although online people will do that just as a joke, but if you're actually going to write it, what they'll write is they'll either write like a curly line, or I should say wiggly line to show that the sound extends, or they'll just actually write that vowel e a bunch of times. But yeah, I know exactly what you're trying to say. Okay, let's see what everyone has. Pablo is the first one who's attempted something. 시작하다. Okay. Yeah. Now, this isn't the form that we did, but it's really just the verb to start. 지금 시작해. 지금 시작해요. 시작하세요. Yes. 지금 하기 시작해요. Okay. You could do that if there's something that you're doing, right? Without any context, though. Start now. It's not saying start doing it now or start studying now, or it's just start now, in which case you only need the verb 시작하다. So let me give that to you. This was a little bit of an easy one. I just wanted to wake you up because we haven't used our form yet, but so if you're just using the verb 시작하다 to start or to begin, you can have this sentence. 지금 시작하세요. So please start now. Now. Yesterday you said you'd call Sears. I'll call today. 지금 전화하세요. 지금 전화할게요. Did anyone else get that commercial? Okay. 지금 시작하세요. Start now. So let's do an example using our form now. This is our first sentence that I want you to make with our form. I started making breakfast. Now, if you don't know the word for breakfast, it's actually the same word as morning. You can say 아침, or you can say 아침 식사, but most of the time people just say 아침. They just say the word morning to mean breakfast. You say you eat morning, or you make morning. Okay. Nice. I think Ivana has our first sentence. Okay, I don't want to read it because I don't want to spoil it to anyone else who's listening. Go ahead. Paulina, nice. 했어 요. Although people will often write 요 like that, but officially it should be 요. Yo is more like a cutesy way of writing it online. Yes, nice, Samantha. I started making breakfast. Okay, now I'm going to read everyone else's. If you're a member, though, I read yours first, but I will read everyone else's as well. Paulina, yeah, typo. More like you're used to doing it that way. I also type it that way sometimes. 하기 시작해, okay? I start doing breakfast. You could say 하다, but it might have a different meaning. You'd want to use to make. To make is 만들다. 시작했다. Okay, I'm just reading over really quick. So far, they all look great. Volk, finite y, just watch your tense in the sentence. Since it's I started, past tense, you want to have a past tense ending as well. But your sentence is not wrong, it just doesn't match this one. I just read an article. I guess they're working on two shows I'm watching lately. Anyone else watching Cobra Kai or Severance? Guess they're going to be working on the next seasons of both of those shows right now. But the annoying thing is now I'm going to have to wait until like next year before I can watch them. It's going to take forever. Makes me mad. I want to watch it right now. 빌리님하고 아침 음식 you wouldn't say 아침 음식. That means morning food. You'd want to say 아침 just by itself. So you started making breakfast with Billy. Okay. Jay, you say, I mean, yo and y'all are next to each other on the keyboard. Yeah, fairly. So you could do it as a typo too. All right. I started making breakfast. Awesome job, everyone. If I saw a big mistake, I pointed it out. There weren't any really big mistakes, just small ones. Like I said, one of the tenses on one sentence. Great. I think you've got this form. I think you've already mastered this form. So let me tell you how you can say it. Okay. 아침을 만들기 시작했어요. 아침, literally morning, but also is used for breakfast. 아침을 만들다, to make breakfast. So, 만들기, making, 시작했어요. So I started making breakfast. 아침을 만들기 시작했어요. I started making breakfast. Easy! Next sentence. Okay, this one is a little harder. I'm going to throw a curveball at all of you. I think some of you can do it. Maybe at least 25%, maybe 10%. At least 10% of you I know can do it. But I don't know how the rest of it's going to go. The reason is you need an intermediate level form in order to finish this sentence, which is why if you're a beginner, you might not get this. But don't feel bad if you don't know this, because it might just be a form you haven't learned yet. And if you don't know that form yet, well, you can't use it yet. Okay. It's been 2 years since I started learning Korean. Okay, it's been 2 years, not since I learned Korean, but it's been 2 years since I started learning Korean. I'm going to let you, the ones who want to give it a try, go ahead and give it a try. If you have no idea how to say since, as in it's been 2 years since, if you don't know that form, don't bother attempting it. It's going to be wrong unless you know the form. It has a specific form for it. It's not like another grammar form. It has its own grammar form to say how long it's been since doing something. I will give you a hint, though. It is the G grammar ending, but there are a couple G grammar endings. So it's not like 맛있지? 재밌지? It's not that G ending. There are a couple others. It's not 했는지. It's not that G ending. Okay. Cody. Wow, Cody, you're fast. I think Cody 삼난vetth. Cody with the Doge face. I think you got it. Okay. It's been 2 years since I started learning Korean. And if you don't get this, don't feel bad, because you have to know this form already to get this form. And if you can't get this, it just means you didn't learn this form yet, so don't beat yourself up. It would be like making fun of someone for not knowing calculus when they're still learning, they're still learning the regular trigonometry or something like that. It's like it's a different form you have to learn first. But with that said, a lot of people got it. So it was more than I expected. But I could tell a lot of these people are already intermediate level or higher. So 시작한 지 2년 됐습니다. Yes, nice, 윤탄, Bonnie, Gianna, Lauren, our Moonchild. Oh, wait. Our Moonchild, nice attempt, but you would need to know the since form to make this sentence. But I see what you're trying to go for. You can say 2년 전부터, from 2 years ago. You're missing the 전, before. What you have is 2년부터 just means from 2 years, but it doesn't mean from 2 years ago. 한국어 배우기 시작합니다. And also you need to say, I started studying Korean 2 years ago, which would be a different sentence, but I mean, I appreciate the attempt. That's kind of cool. You're trying to do it. 한국어 배우기 시작한 지 2년 됐어요. 한국어 공부 시작한 지 2년 지났어요. 지나다, not 지내다. Samantha Johnson. Okay, it's been 2 years since I started using Korean. Nice. That it's also acceptable. Paulina, let's see what you have. Paulina's perfect. Your sentence is perfect too, but you are also perfect. 한국어 배우기 시작한 지 2년 is nice. 한국어 배우기 시작한 보라굴. It's a different form since. So this was a bit of a trick because you would have to already be intermediate level to get this sentence, but I still wanted to try, and I'm really impressed by how many people still could do it. If you couldn't do it, then try to make the sentence, I started learning Korean yesterday. Wait, that would be very demotivating. I started learning Korean however many years ago you started, or however many months ago, or however many weeks ago you started learning Korean. Months or years, I would assume. Make that sentence instead. If you're not able to make this, say, I started learning Korean 1 year ago. I started learning Korean last year, or I started learning Korean 5 years ago. And to do that, you would just say the time and then 전. Like 5년 for 5 years, 5년, 전에, 전 being before. And you can learn that on my channel. I also have other videos about how to say before and after. So 5년 전에 배우기 시작했어요, for example. I started learning 5 years ago. And that's still a good sentence that's natural that you can use. Okay, it's been 2 years since I started learning Korean. Let me put the sentence up. Okay, we still have space. The board's kind of wobbling, so I'll use that as an excuse why my writing's not very nice. Not sure what I'll use when it's for an excuse when it's not wobbling, but that works. Okay. 한국어를 배우기 시작한 지 2년이 됐어요. 한국어, Korean, 배우다, to learn. So learning, 배우기, Korean, learning Korean, 시작하다, so to start or begin learning Korean. 한지, since I started learning Korean, and then how long it's been. If you'd like to learn about this form, I do have another live stream about it you can find, as well as other videos. 2년, so 2 years. 2년이 됐어요. So it has been 2 years since I started learning Korean. 한국어를 배우기 시작한 지 2년이 됐어요. I recommend, if this is your first time seeing this type of sentence, I recommend writing down this exact sentence and just changing this to however many years it's been for you. Or if it's months, you can say 개월. Instead of 년, you can say 개월. So like if it's been 6 months, you can say 6개월이 됐어요. If you want to say months or years, I recommend writing down this exact same sentence. Put it in the chat. Go ahead, write it in the chat. How long? Tell me how long you've been learning Korean. How long has it been since you started learning Korean? 저는 한국어를 배우기 시작한 지 17년이 넘었어요. For me, it's been over 17 years since I started learning Korean. I started learning early 2005. I learned a little bit of random phrases even before that. But officially from 2005, 한국어를 배우기 시작한 지 17년이 됐어요. 저는 17년이 됐어요. So write down how long it's been for each of you. And no, you don't need 17 years to get good at Korean. I just happen to have been learning for a long time. I want to see what everyone's gonna write. (1개월이) 됐어요. I don't believe that. Because you probably wouldn't be writing and typing on the keyboard. Typically 1 month it's enough to learn some few phrases. You can learn the alphabet, but you wouldn't be doing any sort of grammar yet at that point usually. I mean, unless you've already learned it in the past and you're coming back to it, then yeah, sure. I'm trying to remember what I could do after a month of learning Korean. I think I could introduce myself. Yeah, I could introduce myself and I could write it down and I could read really basic stuff. I could read like a book, like a grammar book, and I could read some of it. And if someone asked me questions to things I already knew, so my name, my age, where am I from, those things I could answer slowly. So I think that's what I was at, which is actually pretty good, I think. I think I was learning pretty fast. 우리는 한국어를 you would still want to use 배운지 2년이 됩니다. It is or 될 거예요. 2년이 될 거예요. It will be 2 years since I've started learning. You can still use the same form for since. It doesn't have to be in the past. Okay, and our last sentence for this form, because everyone here has mastered this form now. Even if you haven't mastered the since form, I feel like everyone has got the start and begin form, which is great. So I have one more sentence for all of you. This is the most difficult one. Actually, I'm just kidding. It's not. That one I just gave you was probably the most difficult one. But for any parents out there, this will be the most relatable one. The baby just started sleeping. Now, to say sleep, you can use the verb 자다, or you can use 잠을 자다. Same thing, pretty much. 잠을 자다. And then for just, like something just happened. You're not saying, oh, it's just, I'm just, you're not saying that sort of just. You're saying just as in just happened, just started. You want to use the adverb 방금. And since this is an adverb, you're going to use it directly before whatever verb you are just having done. You just did something a moment ago. 방금. So, the baby, oh, and I'll tell you the word for baby you can use is 아기. Let me write it next to baby. The baby is 아기. 방금 for just, like just did, just started. And then sleeping is 잠자다. So how would you say the baby just started sleeping? The whole sentence put together is quite simple, but you might need this word. Depending on your level, you might need one or two of these words to make it. So the baby just started sleeping. Okay, let's see who was first this time. Oh. Tay was first this time, right before Cody. Yeah. Let's see Cody. Yeah, nice. Cody, nice. I like it. Okay, let's see Paulina. Paulina. Close, very close. So, I'll give you a hint so you can fix it. Remember, 방금 is an adverb which you got. You want to use it right before a verb, which you got. The verb you use it before is the verb that you just did. So if you say, I just went, I just ate, what verb is that before? So if you just ate is 방금 먹다, 방금 가다, 방금 보다, see. Whatever it is you just did, in this case, what's the verb you're just doing? And then you can maybe fix it. See, if you remember, I give you a little bit higher priority when I fix your sentences. Let's see. Oh, Samantha also have one. 막 잠을 자기. Okay, being a little fancy there, Samantha. Your sentence is perfect. You don't have to use 방금. There are other words you can use, although 막 is slangy. So you would, I'll say this, since 막 is slangy, you wouldn't use it with the 입니다 form. So you wouldn't say 이제 막 잠을 자기 시작했습니다. You wouldn't say 시작했습니다 with 막, but you could say 시작했어요 or 시작했어 or whatever you want to say. But you wouldn't use a formal level of speech with a definitely an informal. Not necessarily, it's not slang or casual, but it's informal, 100%. It has a little bit of a slangy feel. So you'd want to make sure that matches. But other than that, very nice. I like that you're like, Billy says to use this, but nuh-uh, I know another way I can say it already. 잠을 자기. 방금 you might want to move that around for Ria. Okay. I think I didn't make 방금 clear. Let me explain 방금 again. So I see I see 방금 in a little bit of a weird position. 방금 is an adverb. So adverbs have to go right before whatever verb that you're talking about. But in this case, what is the verb that we're talking about that just is using before? And this is the same for all adverbs in Korean. This isn't exclusive to 방금. What is the verb? I shouldn't even say what's the verb. What is the action that 방금 is describing? It started, right? So you just started, right? Okay, you just started, but you're not just starting. It's specifically you're starting sleeping. It's the action of you're starting sleeping is the verb. So you don't want to put it right. You don't want to put it just before sleeping. You don't want to say 잠을 방금 자기 시작했어요. You want to use it before the action of starting sleeping. So where is that? So 잠을 자다. Okay, 잠을 자기 시작하다. You know that we're going to get there in the sentence. 잠을 자기 시작하다. The form, though, is 기 시작하다. That's the form. You're not separating that form into something else. You don't need to stick things into that form. That's the whole form. 하다 just becomes 하기 시작하다. So if you can't separate that form, the verb, that is the verb. That's the action in the sentence. It has to go, whatever you're doing, any adverbs have to go before that form. So you would put the adverb, 방금 in this case, before that form, 잠을 자기 시작하다. So you would get 방금 잠을 자기 시작하다 because we can't break apart that form. You wouldn't get 하기 방금 시작하다. That would be breaking apart the form into something else. Now, there are cases where you can add things into forms, like sometimes topic markers or object or subject markers. Those things can get added, but you wouldn't be adding adverbs in the middle of a grammar form or in the middle of an idiom, for example, or stuff like that. So let me give you one of the answers, but most people still got it right. I just saw several sentences that had pangum moved to be in the middle of this form. So I think I explained it weird by just saying it's right before the verb. It's before the verb, unless that would cause you to break up a form. Okay. I think I need to change this pen. I think this pen has reached the end of its life. Now, all these sentences so far are just in the past tense, but you can easily do this in the future tense. You can say, 잠을 자기 시작할 거예요. The baby will start to sleep. I mean, the sentence can sound a little bit awkward. The baby will start to sleep, right? But if you have a situation where that makes sense, yeah, it's fine to use it in any other tense. Okay, so the sentence we have is 아기가 방금 잠을 자기 시작했어요. So the baby, 아기가 방금, just now. 잠을 자다, literally to sleep. So 잠을 자기, sleeping. 시작하다, to start sleeping. So the baby just started sleeping. Just started sleeping now. 아기가 방금 잠을 자기 시작했어요. The baby just started sleeping. So be quiet. Shh. 아기가 방금 잠을 자기 시작했어요. You got it? Okay. I feel like, though, as far as this form goes, you've got it. Really, if you made a sentence and I didn't call you out and correct your sentence, you've got it. Give yourself a pat on the back, because I was reading your sentences and making sure that they're right. Besides the 방금 placement, like, you have the form. You've got this form. That's all there is to it. You master it. You've mastered it now already. And I see a few other people also wrote their sentences about how long they've been studying Korean. That's really cool. You can keep doing it if you haven't already. Let's go on to our next form. Our next form is even easier to conjugate. It's even easier to make. Okay. I hope you're ready for this. To say to stop doing something, the way you do it is you take 그만, and then you put your action verb as usual and conjugate it as usual, and then that's it, you're done. So don't say 하기 그만 whatever, anything like that. Don't do that. It's just this, to stop doing something. 그만 by itself literally means only that much and no more. So just only that much, but nothing more than that is what it literally means. So if you say an action verb like 하다, to do, if you say something like 그만하세요, you're saying do only that much and no more. As in, hey, stop. Like, that's enough. 그만하세요 literally means like, hey, that's enough. Like, just do that much. But it can be translated as stop. Hey, 그만해, stop it. Cut it out. Like, just do that much. Like, that's enough in that sort of meaning. And in fact, if this verb is 하다, you just get the verb 그만하다 without a space. Otherwise, if it's another verb, you want to add a space. But 그만하다 is also used by itself just to mean to stop. 그만했어요. I stopped. 그만할 거예요. I will stop. 그만해요. Stop. Okay. Alternately, you might also see this verb. 그만두다 as one word. You can use 그만두다 in place of the verb 그만하다, and overall it has the same meaning. But you can also use 그만두다 separately, depending on the context. It can also mean to quit work. No, you can't see that down there. So just write a note that 그만두다 can also be used in the same way as 그만하다. But like if you want to say 그만뒀어요, like I quit, I stopped. But it can also mean to quit work. For example, if you were to say something like 회사를 그만두다. 회사 meaning company, that means really to quit your company, or you would say to quit your work. Okay, but back to our basic form, 그만 with action verb. So that's all you need to do to say you want to stop something. You want to not do something. I want to stop, or I stopped. So this is the only thing you need to know in order to say to stop something. Let me see if there's anything else I have to tell you about this form. Now, there's another alternative way you can say to stop something. I put it on the outline, so you can check that out later if you're curious, but it's not really necessary to know. So, let me give you the first example sentence. Oh, actually, you do it. While you're doing this, I'm going to change my blue marker for a new one because the blue marker's dying. I think I also want to change this pink eraser. So I'll be right back. I want you to make the sentence, I want to stop. Or if you want to be creative, you can make the sentence, I don't want to stop. Okay, let me throw these away. Oh, great. It's like balancing on the edge of the trash can. Now I have to go underneath to get it. Ah! Okay, that's it. All right, now I gotta get the new marker. Okay, hold on. Okay. I think I got it. Okay. New marker, new eraser. Okay, let's see what everyone has. Let's see your sentences. Okay, Paulina. 그만하고 싶지 않아요. I don't want to stop. Perfect. Perfect. 100% perfect. 200% perfect. Oh, wait, you're missing a period. 0%. F. Minus 10 points. Fail. Okay, yeah, perfect sentence. Let's see what everyone else has. Gianna, are you the first one, Gianna? Well, it's the first one on my tablet here. Nice. 그만하고 싶어요. 저는 그만하고 싶습니다. Nice. 하고 싶지 않아요. Okay. 그만하고 싶지 않아. Okay. Nice. 그만하고 싶어요. 그만하고 싶어요. Mr. Hickey, yes, 방금 먹기 시작하다. That's how you want to have it positioned. 그만하고 싶지 않아요. 그만하고 싶어요. Nice, nice, nice. Maddie is asking, why do we add 하고? The reason, you might not be familiar with the way to say to want to. The reason is the verb is just 그만하다. Wow, this marker is thick. It's so strong from the other one. And to say you want to, you use the 고 싶다 form. So that's why it becomes 하고. If you're not familiar, wow, wait, is this, what's going on here? This is like permanent. What is, hold on. This marker's like, it's not even erasing. What's going on with this? It's like super blue, right? And then it won't even erase. This is like, wow. I don't know what that was. Maybe I shouldn't use this marker. Well, let's try it. You can't mess up my whole board, can it? Famous last words. If it messes up the board, I'll just use the board cleaner. I have some spray. Okay. Great, really motivating. Yes. Okay, so I want to stop. All you need is 그만하다. So you get 그만하고 싶어요. 그만하다, to stop. Literally to stop. 그만, doing, 하다. 그만하고 싶어요. So I want to stop. 그만하고 싶어요. Okay, it's a little bit better now. A little bit better. I think it's still quite strong, but that very first time I touched it to the board was just crazy strong. We'll have to see. Maybe it'll dry out a bit. I just opened a brand new box, so that's why I'm kind of like, I'm wondering if they're all like this. Hopefully not. All right, I'll just use the tissue for today to wipe those off. That way I don't, because this eraser just can't handle that amount of power. Strong arm. Just passing through to celebrate my 3-year anniversary. Strong arm. Wow, that's right. You've been a member for 37 months. That's crazy. It only says 25 for you. It shows me 37. It shows 37 for me. So you've actually been a little bit over 3 years. Or it must have just renewed recently, so it's the 37th month now. Thank you so much, Strong Arm. So you've got a Winnie the Pooh as your icon. What does that say? What does the speech bubble next to Winnie the Pooh say? He looks like, it's like ominous. The shadow over his face. Legendeer asks, is there a difference between joining the channel or backing on Patreon? Yeah, there's a difference in the amount I get as well as the benefits. Don't worry about the amount I get though. It's not under my control anyway. Patreon benefits, you get the outlines and the worksheets as well as Patreon posts. The YouTube membership, you get the icons, you get the emoticons and the badge next to your name. You get to look at the live streams early, so the same night that they come up. And you get to access the member-only voting sometimes. But Patreon will also get, sometimes I'll make posts on Patreon where I ask for their opinions. It's a little bit different. So I would say if you have $1 you want to donate, Patreon. If you have $5 you want to donate, Patreon or YouTube. And if you have more than you want to donate, then I would say Patreon because the tiers are different. Anyway, it's kind of complicated. Whichever one you want, pick that platform. It doesn't matter. It still helps me either way. Okay. Now let's do something with this form. I want to stop eating. How would you say this? I want to stop eating. So you go to a buffet and your friend's like, hey, here, I got you another plate. But you've already had 2 full plates at Caesar's Palace and you're like stuffed. But your friend has a point. You spent like $70 per person, so you really don't want to go home until you get your money's worth. But you're full. Your stomach is like coming over the table, and you start feeling like dizzy. You can't count how many fingers are on your hands. So you're like, you know what? I'm done. I want to stop eating. I want to stop eating now. How would you say that? You're saying, I don't want to stop eating. I like, 토마도 재배자 says, 그만 먹고 싶지 않아요. I don't want to stop. I'm going to keep going. Georgia says, do you have all the Korean grammar points on a PDF? There's no such thing. That would be like saying, can I get all of the English grammar forms on a 3x5 card? Like, they wouldn't fit on a PDF. Unless the PDF were like thousands of pages long, without any explanations, then yeah, I have to show you. I have a, let's see. This book doesn't even have, nah, not this one. There's an even better one. Okay, this one is the Omitosa Saja. This is only about endings, verb endings. And that's it. It's a dictionary about verb endings that I have. This book doesn't even have everything. I was looking for a verb ending the other day in this book, and it doesn't even have it. So the chances that a PDF has all the grammar forms in Korea is 0. You always have to compensate. So yeah, and it didn't have one that was actually quite basic that I've heard a lot. Nothing crazy. But this does have a lot. I like this book. It's pretty cool. I have another grammar book that's a similar thickness. However, the cover's a little bit thinner, so it looks a little smaller, but it has smaller type, so it's about similar amount of information. This also doesn't have everything. And those are reference books for advanced learners. They would not be for beginners or intermediates. But yeah, they're a lot. Okay, let's see. 그만 먹고 싶어요. Never said it though, Paulina. Okay. 그만 먹고 싶어요. Nice. It's okay if I get the sentence wrong because I'll never need it. There's got to be a point where, you keep getting more food and you want to stop. Although I did, one time I went to a buffet in Vegas. This was like 4 years ago. I think 4 years ago. I think it was 2019. So yeah, three or so years ago. And I ate so ridiculously much because it was expensive. I think it was like $60. I paid like $60 for that buffet. I'm like, I'm going to eat. I paid for this. And it was amazing. There was so much stuff there. There was this guy cutting off like bacon. And normally you think they're going to give you like a couple pieces of bacon. This guy had enough with his job. He was done. He was like, just tell me how much you want. So I'm like, I don't know, give me like this much. So I thought he was going to give me like a piece like this big, like a big chunk of bacon. He gave me like the whole, like, you go to the store and you see the thick cut bacon in those packages, like applewood bacon. This was smoked. It was all smoked and crispy, but it was like this thick, the whole thing. He just like plopped it on my plate. And he's like, he looks up at me and like that. And I keep going to the next guy. I'm like, what just happened? So, okay, I take that back to I sit down. I figure, I'm not going to finish this. It's going to be too much bacon, too salty. It was amazing bacon. It was like the best bacon I'd had, like a little bit soft, the best bacon. And I ate that whole thing between me and my kid. We ate that whole thing and got a little more after that. It was so good. Oh man. Yeah, it was no bacon rant. As long as you're not microwaving it. Oh, so I when I was a kid, I grew up with one of my friends. He's moved out. I haven't seen him in years now, so I don't know how he's doing. But he was a little bit weird. So I didn't live too far from him, so I remember I would go over to his house. I've known him since I was 2 years old. 1 or 2? Yeah, 2 years old, I think. But anyway, we were hanging out one day, and he was a teenager, I was a teenager. We were sleeping at his house. And in the morning, he's like, hey, I'll make you some breakfast. And I'm thinking like, okay, cool. He's like, you want some bacon? Oh, yeah, I love bacon, of course. So he gets out the bacon from the refrigerator, right? He asks his mom, can I make some bacon? She's like, yeah, sure. He puts some on a plate, 2 strips for me, 2 strips for him. Sticks it in the microwave. And I'm already thinking like, microwave bacon, okay, you got to do what you got to do. Takes a long time. I've had it before. That's how we ate it at my house. But, you have to microwave it a few minutes. He puts it in for 30 seconds, puts it in for a minute, pushes the 30-second button twice. So it's 1 minute for 4 strips and clicks start and it's going. And I'm thinking, okay, he's got some special way to cook bacon. Let's see. A minute comes out. He pulls it out. He touches it with the back of his finger. He's like, oh, it's not ready yet. So I'm like, oh, of course it's not. Let's see how he's going to do it now. So maybe, the first cook is just to get off some steam or make it softer. I don't know. He's got his own method. So he puts it back in the microwave, 30 seconds more, beeps, pulls it out of the microwave. It's good. I swear you could hear that bacon oinking. It was like warm at best, like not safe to eat temperature. And so he's like, oh, it's good. Here, you can have yours. You can have yours now. So I tried a piece. I'm like, it's not very good. I probably finished the 1 piece and I didn't eat the rest. And he's like, oh yeah, this is the best way to eat it. I like it soft. I like it soft and warm like this. I'm like, okay. I don't think I ever asked him to cook for me anything ever again after that. It was stuck in my memory for like, that's been in my memory now for well over 20 years. I was probably like 10 or 12 when that happened. I can never forget that. I don't even remember what we did at his house that day or any other time I spent the night at his house. All I remember is him making bacon, 4 pieces in the microwave for 1.5 minutes. Yeah, that was terrible. Yeah, seriously. Gordon Ramsay would have gotten really mad at that. The bacon is raw. Okay, I want to stop eating. I hope you don't mind I'm interrupting the lesson with random stories about bacon and stuff like that. It was just a very memorable experience to me. Okay, 그만 먹고 싶어요. 그만 먹다, to stop eating. Literally to eat only that much and no more. So, 먹고 싶어요. I want to eat only that much. Like that's all I want to eat is what it literally says. Like I only want to eat that much and now I'm done. So, we would translate this as I want to stop eating. I don't want to eat anymore. 그만 먹고 싶어요. I want to stop eating. And you can change this to any verb. Oh yeah, I forgot this doesn't work. And you can change this to any verb with 그만, and you get to stop doing that verb. Okay, we're not done. 2 more sentences. I don't want to stop my Korean studies. Or if you want to be, you can say it, I won't stop my Korean studies. If you want to change it, if you don't want to keep doing like want to, don't want to. We've had a few sentences like that. So, I don't want to stop my Korean studies. Basically, I don't want to stop studying Korean. I don't want to stop my Korean studies. Well, you don't have to yell. You don't need the exclamation there. Korean studies, you can just use 한국어 공부. Oops. 한국어 공부. Hopefully you can read that. 한국어 공부 for Korean studies. So I don't want to stop my Korean studies. How would you do this sentence? Georgia, yes. I felt sad for that poor pig that gave its life so that my friend could microwave it for 30 seconds. But my whole family knows that story. It's just hilarious. It's unforgettable. And I would never be mad at my friend for doing that, for giving me a good story. He'd probably laugh at it too now. Unless he still eats bacon that way. I haven't asked him. I'm like, oh man, do you still eat bacon? Like, he's like, what are you talking about? That's the best way. Oh no, now I don't want to know. If I ever meet him again, I don't think I want to ask him that. I don't want to know. Angela, you said my cousin eats raw bacon. Yeah, that's not really safe, but if it's like modern day bacon processing is so well done. Like, because, they make sure, first of all, they use clean pigs to begin with. So they're not going to, use pigs that already have lots of worms and diseases if they can avoid it. So they start with good quality pig in the first place. And then from there, they process it in really clean facilities. All the workers are wearing gloves, clean hands, all that. They'll smoke it properly. And then they'll make sure it's gone through the curing process properly, which is good, under the right temperatures. They're not going to let it sit out and get bad. So it's probably fine, but I wouldn't do that a lot. I wouldn't test my luck that much with it. Georgia asks, can't we say 먹는 거 그만하고 싶어요? Yes, you can. And in fact, I have that in the worksheet. I'm sorry, the outline of this live stream, if you'd like to learn. That's a little more of a formal style, but that's all you need to know. There's nothing else you really need to know about it. That's it. 한국어를 그만 공부하고 싶지 않아요. Okay, I don't want to stop studying Korean, but this is a sentence where they typically would say language studies. I don't want to stop the language studies. Instead of saying I don't want to stop studying Korean. By that, you're saying, I'm studying Korean right now. Like, I'm studying Korean. I don't want to stop studying Korean. Like, I'm studying right now. But if you say, I don't want to stop my Korean studies, that has a slightly different meaning. It means I don't want to quit learning Korean, right? Versus, right now I'm busy. I don't want to stop studying Korean to go outside. I still will study Korean. Even when I stop studying Korean today, I'm still going to pick it up again tomorrow. That's what I want to stop studying Korean means in Korean. But if you say, I don't want to stop my Korean studies, you mean, I really just want to keep studying Korean. Like, I'm not going to give it up. That sort of meaning. But yeah, as long as you got the idea. 한국어 공부 그만하고 싶어요. Oh, no, Rosanna, opposite. I don't want to stop. But your sentence says I want to stop. But at least it's grammatically correct. You got a perfect sentence there. 한국어 그만하고 싶지 않아요. Okay, I don't want to stop Korean. That's okay too. Avion. MM says, I'm disappointed in myself. This would be a high beginner level. So if you're not a high beginner level, there's no reason to feel disappointed. If you claimed yourself to be advanced, but you didn't know this form, then sure, you could be disappointed in your assessment of your language abilities. But if you don't know something, you can't be disappointed in yourself for not knowing it, right? If you've never studied it before, can you know it? No. I don't get mad at myself when I don't know words that I see if I didn't know them, right? 안 보였어요. 죄송합니다, 선생님. Nice. 한국어를 그만 공부하기 싫어. Okay, you can use 공부하기 싫어. Like, I don't want to stop studying. All right. There are many ways you can do this. So let me give you my way. It's either my way or the highway. No, actually, there are a lot of ways you can say everything in English or in Korean. My board is now all blue. That's okay. I can wash it off after the class. Okay. I don't want to stop my Korean studies, as in I want to just keep studying Korean. 한국어 공부를 그만하고 싶지 않아요. 한국어 공부, Korean studies. So my Korean studies, 그만하다, to quit or to stop. Like, I don't want to stop. 하고 싶지 않아요. I don't want to stop my Korean studies. I don't want to stop studying Korean. I don't want to quit Korean. 한국어 공부를 그만하고 싶지 않아요. I don't want to stop studying Korean. I love Korean. 더 하고 싶어요. I want to do more. 한국어 공부를 그만하고 싶지 않아요. Okay. And our last sentence for this form, we do have something else we're going to talk about after this, which is for all levels. The last sentence for this form, so this marker is so strong. It's too strong for my Kleenex. Okay, the last sentence is, I stopped exercising. I stopped exercising. Okay. Okay, there's a bunch of ways you could say this, and they all could have slightly different nuance. But go ahead and give it a try first. Babion Paris says, it's either Billy's way or you end up with warm, slightly warm, microwaved bacon. For the record, I do not eat bacon that way. I think I've cooked a lot of bacon. I've done, I grew up with the microwave method where you microwave each piece for about 3 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes per piece. And you put it on top of a paper towel and with paper towel on top. And you can do like 2 or 3 layers of that. And you microwave it for 3 to 4 minutes per piece. And then it'll get decently crispy that way. It's not bad and it's easy. But then I graduated and I moved to pan frying after that. And I would do cast iron pan frying bacon. And that's great. But it has a tendency to make it too wet because you're like frying it in its own grease. And that's not so good for bacon. It's already oily. It doesn't need any extra grease. In fact, its own grease is too much. So that's okay. That way works. But like I said, you end up with oily bacon that you have to deal with. Now what I do is I actually bake bacon. And that's the best. You do it, I think it's 400 degrees for about 20 minutes. I have to check though, because I just read a recipe that I have. And that makes it nice and dry and crispy at the same time. Not oily. The oil drips off. That's what I do now. Any other ways to cook bacon? I mean, I know I have an air fryer, so you can air fry it too, but I found that you air fry stuff, the problem is because of the fan blowing, it tends to make some stuff too dry. So I think bacon would be one of those things, like you don't want it to be completely dry. You want it to be a little bit oily, but you don't want it to be like wet. And you don't want it to be like rock hard, or else it's just going to be like bacon bits or like the bacon strips, like the things you give to dogs. Like you don't want it to be like hard like that. Okay, I'm reading some of your answers. 시간이 없어서 운동을 그만했어요. Very nice, Danny. I like that. Being creative with it. Eat Greek pita? Yeah, I love Greek food. At least the very small amount of Greek food that we can get here in Los Angeles. Yeah. I love all that stuff. You got to eat it while you're listening to the Greek music. Ding, 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 ding. That makes it taste like twice as good, I swear. One time I had Greek food and they were playing like, I think it was Linkin Park music or something. And it was like not good. That it just like ruined the food. You need someone with like the, that instrument. What's that little, there's like an instrument that they have in Greece that they play. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so I stopped exercising. You could say it a bunch of different ways. But the verb is to exercise. 운동을 하다, 운동하다. Literally to do exercise. So the verb is 하다. And you can say this other ways too. You can say 그만했어요. But for this example, I'm going to do 그만뒀어요. So 그만두다. So the sentence is 운동을 그만뒀어요. 그만두다 has the same usage as 그만하다 when it's used in this form with 그만. But 두다, depending on the context, can also mean quit something. So I quit exercising or I stopped exercising. They both work. 운동을 그만뒀어요. So I quit or I stopped exercising. That's pretty much it. We're not done with the lesson. We're not done with the lesson, but we are done with our two forms for how to say to start and to stop doing something. But there's another part of the lesson that is really important. There's another part to this lesson that is so important, and that is just how do you say to stop? Because 그만하다, to stop doing something, isn't the only way that you would express to stop, right? What about saying the train stopped, or saying the rain stopped, or stop moving? All of those could be different verbs, and you wouldn't use 그만하다 for any of those. If you were to say 기차가 그만했어요, the train stopped, like the train quit, like it doesn't really make sense. The rain 그만했어요, like the rain quit, it just gave up. It's like, I'm not raining anywhere here anymore. This place is too dry. Or, you know, you stopped, you're like walking and you wanted to stop. You're like walking and then you 그만했어요. That means you're just like, you know, I give up. This walking's too hard. No more exercise for me. There are different verbs you're going to use to say to stop moving or to stop operating something, or like stopping or like ceasing or halting, anything like that, are going to have different verbs. So that's what we're going to go over now. Is that instrument called bouzouki? I don't know. I don't know what it's called. I just know the sound that you hear. And when you're listening to Greek music playing in the Greek restaurant. Yeah, we're going to talk about a few. Okay. A couple of them were already written in the chat right now, but there's another one that no one wrote. So wait, before I do this, what other ways do you know for how to say to stop besides 그만하다 or 그만두다? What other ways do you know? Put them in the chat. And if you already know what they mean, I want you to write what you think their definition is, because we're going to be talking about the 3 most important ones. Someone said hajima, yeah. If you want to tell someone, hey, stop, you could just say hajima, hajimaseyo, hajimayo. Don't do it, literally. Okay? 멈추다, 멈추다. We got one. Let's see what else we got. 멈추다. 그만하다, 그만두다. Yeah, we did those two. Someone said, Lady Black, you say 끝나다 is not to stop. 끝나다 is to finish, to be finished. So that's unrelated. That would be like a project ended, it's finished. Not that it stopped, as in ceased or halted, but it finished. That means it completed. 끝나다, like it completed, it finished. So that's a different verb. 그치다, okay. 비가 그치다, you can say that. Yes, the rain quit. The rain stopped. There's one more. Does anyone know it? 정지하다. Okay, well, there are a lot of verbs that are 한자 that end with 지. Those ones we're not going to be talking about because those would have specific uses in those situations that they already have them. But no, yeah, we're not going to be doing that. Like the stop sign in Korean would be 정지, like that. That's different though. Those ones have their own. 세우다, yes, 세우다 works. There's another one. Okay, let's go over them one at a time. Okay, let's go over one at a time. The first way to say to stop is 멈추다. 멈추다 means to stop moving. To stop moving. So you're not stopping doing something, but you're stopping motion. So either to stop moving or to stop operation. Like stop operating something. Or something stops. Like if you're saying the car stopped, as in it just stopped moving, then you could use this one. So anytime you're stopping moving, you would use 멈추다. For example, 여기에 멈춰 주세요. So please stop here. Like stop moving right here. 여기에 멈춰 주세요. Maybe someone's carrying something and you tell them, oh, please stop here. Literally, stop moving here. So again, 멈추다 is to stop moving. Okay. And you might have already known this one, 멈추다. It's pretty common. But I have seen people do stuff like 한국어를 멈췄어요. Like, or I guess 운동을 멈췄어요. Like I stopped exercising, or 먹는 거 멈췄어요. Like that means you just physically moving, you stop moving, but not that you're stopping that action. So keep it in mind. 멈추다 is for a motion, some sort of movement. All right. The next one is actually 2 verbs. Next we have 서다 and 세우다. 서다 is an intransitive verb, and 세우다 is a transitive verb. What that means is 세우다 will take an object. So you can 세우다 something, or 서다 is something 서다. I'll explain that again in a second. 서다 and 세우다 both have the same meaning. These are to halt or to stop, as in something stopped operating. Like this would be like a bus, a train, maybe a machine, etc. Something stopped operating. That would be halting. It halted. So you could say something like, 버스가 섰다. The bus halted, literally. The bus stopped operating. So anytime you're talking about something stopping operation, you would use 서다. So the bus stopped, 서다. But if you were the one who stopped the bus, you could stop the bus with 세우다. Now that doesn't mean like you're Superman, but it means you shut it off. This is also used commonly, though, when you're in a taxi and you want to tell the taxi driver, could you please stop here? Literally, like, can you halt the car? Can you halt the operation of the car here? You would say, 여기 or 여기에 or whatever, 세워주세요. Literally, please stop here. Please halt, stop operation here. 세워주세요. So, or the driver might say, where should I 세우다 the car for you? Like that. So this will be the one you're going to be using a lot for transportation, machinery, stuff like that, is stopping like that. So not stopping the movement, not stopping its motion, but stopping its actual operation. Okay. So just again, 서다 is an intransitive verb, so that means it can take a subject. So you can have like 버스가, for example, or you can have 는 if you want. But 세우다 is a transitive verb. That means it takes an object. So you'll use the object marker with what you're stopping. And that means you are actually, or someone is actually the one that's directly stopping something. So not that the bus stopped, but someone stopped the bus. And in Korean, that's significant because it's how you use verbs is different between transitive and intransitive verbs. Okay. And the last one that you really need to know, there are a few others, but this is one of the three that I think is essential. And the last one that I think I'll say this again, I can't even speak. And the last one is 그치다. I saw a few people writing this in chat. 그치다 is how you say to cease. You can also translate it as to stop. Well, now the whole board is so blue. What's wrong, board? Talk to me. Why are you so blue? This one is also an intransitive verb. So you're not going to be ceasing something, but something ceases, something stops. This one is pretty much just the rain. Snow, storm, like natural things. So the rain, for example. Don't say something like 비가 멈췄으면 좋겠어요. Like, I hope the rain stops moving. That would be like the Matrix. It just like freezes in the air. That's not really possible. If you're talking about the rain or something like that, then you would use 그치다, to cease. So like, I hope the rain ceases. 비가 그치다. The rain stops. So you can just write that down as an expression. 비가 그쳤어요. So the rain stopped. That's all there is to it. So again, 멈추다, to stop moving. 서다 or 세우다, that's like to stop operation, whether it stops by itself or someone stops it. And then 그치다 is to cease. That would be like something with like the rain, the weather, something like that. Okay. 세우다, there is a different 세우다. There's a few 세우다 actually. So it's not the same one. You'd want to search it on the Naver to find out the different ones, because there are going to be many verbs that have the same spelling and the same pronunciation even, but a different meaning. And there's the same thing in English too. We do that all the time, right? Sometimes we'll even have different pronunciation, like wind or wind, that kind of thing. Korean has a lot of those types of things too. Okay, that is the lesson for today. That's how you say to stop. Then that's everything you need to know. Thank you for coming. And now we've finished a little bit early, so for the next 10 or 15 minutes, I can answer some questions if you have any. Paulina says, are these verbs included in the worksheet? I'd have to check. I might have put a couple sentences with these other additional verbs in the worksheet. You can download it right now and see. Okay. Yeah, thanks for coming, everyone. Maddie, you're asking, do I offer one-on-one tutoring? Currently, no. That's due to my schedule. I would like to do it again, though, someday. And when I do, I'll announce it. But currently, I'm not offering it. I did it before, though. So, how does everyone feel? Which of these forms, or I guess I shouldn't say, I feel like everyone got all these forms. Especially 시작하다. I felt like really good. Like everyone here got that form. 시작하다 as well. konnichiwa. Yes, we're learning Japanese though here. Sorry. It's Korean. 제가 아까 했던 말에 대해서는 인터넷에서 사람 okay, I understand what you're trying to say, Maddie. They're not the same, no. They would be separate forms. I have a lesson about the ryogo form. If you don't have ryogo, though, it wouldn't mean the same as having ryogo. Lauren Holton says, do you know where I could learn archery vocabulary? I did make a video about archery on my channel, you could see. But I would say the best way to learn archery vocabulary is to watch videos of people doing archery. And the Korean word for archery, just write it up here. This board is destroyed. You have to wash it. You can search for Yangung or Yangung Cafe, for example, Archery Cafe Korea. And you can see people who, there are going to be people who do it on their YouTube channels and they'll explain it. And by watching a lot of those videos, you're going to learn the types of vocabulary. For example, I recently started getting interested in photography. So I started, but I don't know many of the photography terms in Korean besides the ones I use for making videos. So I know the terms for like lighting, backdrop, you know, 3-point lighting, all these types of video terms, but I didn't know like photography terms, you know, like exposure and aperture, all these different things that you would use for photography. So I started subscribing to a few YouTubers in Korean, watch like, you know, 5 or 6 videos and you're like, aha, okay, I get it, because they keep using the same words over and over and over again that you pick them up. Yeah. So that's what I would recommend. I would say just search some videos about this in Korean and watch a few of them and you'll quickly learn, you know, what's the term for 활, like a bow, you know, how do you say like the arrow and stuff like that. And you know, what's the word for pole and what do they use for target, you know, all these different things like that you can learn by watching just a few videos, I would say. Daniela with the amount that I always have to search, that I always forget how much it is. It's like $10. Thank you. Daniela. Daniela. Hello, Billy. Thank you as usual. Let me give you a 10 dabs first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Do you think that Koreans like stray cats? Yes! Koreans love stray cats. They also like stray kids. That's a boy band. The word for stray cat is 길고양이. So literally street cat, 길고양이. And there were Koreans, I've seen this really commonly. If you see a street cat, it's common to see Korean people take pictures of them with their cell phone. They like street cats. They like wild cats. It's really common. You'll see sometimes in public areas, like in parks, you might see a little bowl of food randomly. Like there will be like a little bowl of water underneath a bench. You'll be like, what? Someone left like a bowl of water or something? It's random people just putting the water out or the food out for the wild cat that might live in the area. When I was in Busan, I saw people who took churros. Don't give cats churros. Don't give cats churros. They don't want churros. They want ice cream. Don't give them churros. Yeah, it's really common. I think Koreans are friendly towards street cats. Like I think they kind of like pity them, like oh, like that. So yeah, I've noticed that too. That there's a strong sentiment of affection towards street cats in Korea. And let me give you a hint. So There are different terms for cats. Like I think they use cheese, like cheese, to refer to like the yellow tabby, like the orange kind of cats. They have different terms for different types of cats that you can use. But a really common word that people will use to a cat with an unknown name is you can call out the cat by calling it nabi. Nabi meaning butterfly. So if you see a stray cat, you can call out to it as like butterfly. And that's just a way to to call out like, hey, kitty. Like we might say in English, we might say, hey, kitty, kitty, kitty. In Korean, they don't say 고양이, 고양이, 고양이 or nyaongi or anything like that. They don't do that. They would do nabi. So that's just a pro tip. If you want to sound like a Korean calling out to a strange cat. Now, this will not be like someone's house pet. Like you could tell, you can ask them what the cat's name is. But for some random street cat, that's how you call out to them. I've also found that is pretty universal. It works with Korean cats too. But I will say don't pet them because they are actually street cats. They're not like someone lost their cat. Like you could tell if it has a tag or not. If it's a pet, it'll have a tag, it'll have a chip, everything like that. But if it's just a stray cat, it'll look like a stray cat. Like it might have like a bite in its ear. It might look kind of weak or like dirty. Don't pet them because they're not clean. They might not have had their shots, right? They could be sick. Just look at them from afar, but don't try to get involved. Yeah. Is my nose blue? Is it? I can't see myself in the, I don't think it would be. I didn't rub my nose with my fingers are blue. My fingers are kind of blue. But I don't think I rubbed my nose, did I? Is my nose blue too? Oh, I think I might have rubbed my nose. I think I might have touched my nose right here. Oh, I must have like rubbed my nose. Oh no, hold on. I gotta fix that right now. Yeah, it's blue. It's blue. It came off, fortunately. I think it's gone. This side doesn't have any on it, but just in case. Yeah, there's none on this side. Okay. Yeah, I thought you were just seeing me blue because of the board, but no, I must have rubbed my nose at some point. Yeah. Yeah, okay. But anyway, hope that answers your question. Hope that answers your question, Danielle. If you're in Korea, you're going to see street cats. It's really common. I've seen some Instagram accounts before, like whole accounts that will just photograph street cats. Like you can follow them and they'll be like street cats in Suwon or street cats in this area, Gangnam street cats or something like that. And they just go around photographing the street cats. They'll recognize the same ones. They'll give them names. They'll be like, oh, Sarah has been playing around in the garbage. I found her over at the cafe and now she's behind the cafe. You know, like you'll find that. And then like a little picture of the cat. Like you'll find people taking shots of street cats. It's a common thing. Billy Smurf, yeah. Got to change my song. Da, 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 da. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Any other comments? Jay says, I'm going to buy pet milk in the 7-Eleven. Okay. Pet. Yeah. Don't give them regular milk. It'll give them stomach problems. You know that. Well, anyone with cats should know that. But you don't want to give cats milk because they can't digest it. They can't digest regular milk like that. At least usually they can't. So it just causes stomach problems. Although they'll like it. I mean, you can give them like a tiny lick of it, but you shouldn't be feeding it to them. That's just a cat pro tip for anyone with cat. But yeah, if it's for pets, like specifically pet cat milk, that's probably going to have no lactose in it. It's probably going to be fine. But cats don't need milk. They're fine with just water. Let's see. But I've never seen pet milk before. I've never tried to actually feed them before. So I haven't, because there haven't been any living in the same area that, like I told you, I usually am in Suwon. And I hadn't seen any of them near the place that I stayed at in Suwon. on a regular basis. Okay, let's see. Riot X Van asks a decent question. When did you know your Korean was advanced enough? My Korean will never be advanced enough. I always see myself as improving and that I need to get better. I've always seen myself like that since the beginning, and I still see myself like that. So I will never feel like my Korean is good enough for myself. If that answers your question, but I know you're not asking that. I think what you're asking is, how long did it take you to learn Korean until you were fluent? And I've heard that question, very often. It's a thing people want to know. How long is it going to take? How long do I have to study Korean before I'm going to be good at it is what they wonder. And there is no answer to that. I can't give you an answer without misleading you, because everyone's answer on that is different. For some people, they might learn in 6 months and get to a conversational level, and they think that's advanced enough. Even if they're only intermediate, it doesn't matter. That's advanced enough for them. If they think so, if they think that's advanced enough, then it's advanced enough. Other people might take years before they reach a fluent level, and then they feel like, now I'm advanced enough. It's just when you feel like you've gotten advanced enough. So maybe a better question would be something like, how long does it take to get to a beginner level, or I shouldn't say that, a conversational level if I am living in Korea, if I am taking this Korean class, if I am practicing an hour a day, if I have, the more variables you add to this question, the better of an answer I can give you. But that's pretty much, you'd have to describe your situation because everyone's different. One person might say, how long will it take me to learn Korean to a conversational level if I'm studying 30 minutes a day and I'm watching Korean dramas for an hour a day? And the answer is like, never. Never. It depends on what you're doing for studying. If you're studying, if someone gives you more information. Oh, by the way, I told you I'm watching Korean dramas. Actually, what I'm doing is I'm studying using them and looking up words while I'm learning them, while I'm watching them. Like, okay, well, that's different. And I said 30 minutes studying. I actually meant it's 30 minutes of half is grammar study and half is practicing that with a pen pal. And I didn't include this, but I also have a pen pal that I talk with. I need information about your exact situation before I can guess how long it's going to take. But in general, everyone's different. Everyone's learning differently, different methods, different, some have pen pals, some don't. Some have different resources they're using to practice. Some people are using variety shows for listening practice, and that's effective. And other people might be wasting their time with watching news in Korean, which is not effective at all unless you're already at an advanced level. You're not wasting your time, but you could use your time much more effectively with other ways. So in that case, I think you're giving up a lot of your potential. So it depends on the person. It depends on your ability. It depends on how you study. It depends on how many other languages you've learned before. It depends on this and that. It's all different. So if you were to give me really specifics about how you're learning, what your situation is, everything like that, then I can tell you, I guess it's going to take you this amount of time to reach that level you're talking about. But it's not an easy question to answer outside of that. Because really, yeah, everyone's different. Idril says, I've been learning for more than 2 years and I'm still terrible at making sentences. Yeah, it's nothing on you. It could just be the way you're learning, or maybe you're okay with that. That's your style of learning and that's what you're comfortable with. I can't say, who am I to say you're learning wrong unless you yourself come to me and say, hey, I'm not improving. I really want to do this. Just be happy with what you're doing, with where you're at. And if you're not happy with what you're learning, then you're doing it wrong. If you're not enjoying it, then you're doing it wrong. And then you can change what you're doing so that you can enjoy it more, whether that means studying it more or studying it less. Tomado Chebeja asks, recommendations for Korean reading? I always recommend things like webtoons or online articles like kids news. You can search for 동아 kids, and it's a newspaper that they have a kids version of it. And it's not low level, it's actually advanced level, but relative to regular news, it's intermediate level. Like, I think you could probably do it with a dictionary. Avion Paris says, when's your next video with KiCat? I actually posted already the 2 more lessons with KiCat on my Patreon. If you're one of the Patreon backers in the $10 tier or higher, you can already see those. But the videos themselves, let me check. Next month will be the first one. And then December for the second. But I have 2 more videos with KiCat already prepared. I filmed them. One of them is going to be me at ordering some pizza at a restaurant. And the other one's going to be me at Suwon Fortress, which I actually filmed that same day. We did the live stream there at Suwon Fortress. Lauren asks, did you ever take the TOPIK test? At what stage would you recommend taking it? Okay, I've never taken it. I've never taken the TOPIK test because frankly, I don't need to. I was going to study for it. So I bought like materials, like big books, like CDs and everything. These were back in 2012. Here we go. May 10th, 2012. I was going to prepare to take the TOPIK 6. But at that time, it was different. The test was divided in 2 sections. And what they did is they changed it up. So now it's 3 sections and they made them easier actually, but they changed everything that's on them. They changed the way they're done. They added a speaking portion, or I think they are adding it if they haven't already added it. And they have like everything changed. And I'm like, you know what, forget it. I don't want to buy new materials. And then I found out the result only lasts for like 2 years. It's only legitimate for like 2 years. And then you can't really you can't say I have TOPIK 6 after 2 more years because now it's no longer TOPIK 6. It's meaningless now because they changed it. So I decided I don't need it for anything, so I didn't do it. But if you would like to have a way to judge your Korean, you want to feel like, okay, I've gone from here to here, I've improved this much, I can do this, I would say go for the TOPIK test. Even just try TOPIK 1 at any level. I would say it's great. And if I were learning Korean today, like if I was starting right now, I would set a goal for TOPIK 1 within the first 6 months. I think I would do that. I would schedule, like I would buy my seat for the TOPIK test 6 months from when I started. And I would say, okay, let's do this. And I would study and prepare to get TOPIK 1. Maybe I would do great and get TOPIK 2, right? But I would prepare for TOPIK 1. Because that's just a goal for yourself. It lets you set something that's achievable and work toward it. And then, I would download all the old year's tests and I would take them and I'd learn what the stuff I'm missing. And I would just do it until I get level 1 or level 2. Because it's a great goal. It's a great thing to set for yourself, to know I've improved so much that now I passed this level that I definitely couldn't do. And then after that, maybe I'd set a goal for level 3 another 6 years later. I'm sorry, 6 months later, not 6 years. Depending on how much you're studying though. 6 months later, I'd set a goal maybe for the next level. And then for maybe every 6 months, I'd set the next level as my goal. Yeah, I would do it. But as in my position right now, there's no reason to do it. So I won't say never though. Someday I'll do it just because. But in order to get that, you need to prepare for the TOPIK test because it's limited in time. I can't just sit down and read it and go like, oh, okay, that's cool. And then answer the questions. I would have like 5 or 6 minutes to do the entire problem. So I have to know what things do I need to look for in this test? It's not so much just, do you know the Korean in it, but it's, do you know how to take this test? So someday I'll prepare for it and take it. But these days I haven't really had much time to do that. Cypher says, have you thought of doing a lesson but in Korean? I used to do that all the time. When I was teaching English, I would teach English in Korean actually. So the whole lessons are just in Korean. But I don't think it's effective because I'm teaching a topic that's beginner level. Every word that I use to explain that beginner level topic is going to be more difficult than the actual topic. For example, if I was trying to explain how do you say to start something, I would be like, you use the 선어말 어미, or you use the 어미, 동사의 어미를 서서, using the verbs ending. Like you wouldn't know the word for ending. You wouldn't know the word for 동사, for verb, for action verb. It would end up using grammatical terms that you don't know and you don't need to know, frankly, in the beginner level in order to learn a very basic grammatical form that explaining it in English does the trick. Take verb stem, 기, 시작하다, and you're done. And everyone got it. Versus me explaining it, you have to conjugate the verb, and here you can do past tense. 과거 시제를 해가지고 했어요, 시작했어요가 되는데 만약에 뭐 현재 시제를 했으면은 시작해요. 그리고 미래 시제는 시작할 거예요. Like you end up learning things like you don't need to know future tense and all that stuff. I don't think it would be very effective. And frankly, it would be hard for me because these are also, I'm not used to teaching Korean in Korean either. Avion Paris, did your brother Alex keep up with Korean learning? Yes and no. So we stopped filming them because we would only film like once a month, and between those several weeks that we would meet, he would forget everything we learned in the last one, which is understandable because you can't retain your information unless you keep using it. But then he recently, again, when I met him a few weeks ago, he said he started using my beginner course again. So he was going through like one lesson every few days and practicing it. So he could still kind of read some stuff. He's doing like really basic conjugation, really basic writing. So I don't know, maybe if he gets through my beginner course and can use some of that, I think it would be nice to do an update lesson with him. But I think if you're learning Korean, there's nothing wrong with learning Korean in Korean, if that's what you want. But I don't think it's a better method. I think it's just a method. If you feel like you would learn better by learning in Korean, then by all means, go to Korea or, look up YouTube videos in Korean and learn that way. But I think for most people, for like the large majority of people, that wouldn't be as effective. And they would get more out of it just being able to understand it in their own language. But yeah, you do you. Study the way that you feel is the most effective. I can offer my opinions, but in the end, everyone learns in a different way. All right, I think that's good. Any other last questions before we finish up the stream for today? Again, there is no live stream next Sunday. Next Sunday, we are off. It is 2 on, 1 off. So next Sunday is the off. The Sunday after that, so 2 Sundays from today, we will be back with 1 more lesson. And then after that, I'm going to Korea. So there won't be another one after that, I think. Now, while I'm in Korea, though, I will try to do at least 1 live stream from there again. Jenna, you said you joined my Patreon. Hold on, let me check. Let me check my email for a second. Jennifer, thank you so much. Let me write your name up here. That counts. As well as I see Steven. Steven also joined. The $1 tier. Awesome. So you get all the worksheets and the outlines. And then Jennifer, you can actually get the 2 Learn Korean episodes. That's the series with KiCat. You can't watch the videos yet. Those will come up later, but you can see the PDF, so what the whole lessons are for both of those lessons right now. Thank you so much. Let me give you 10 dabs. As well as 1 for Steven. Awesome. Jiki says, how long will we be in Korea? I'll be gone by December. I'm only there for November. I'll be back before the end of November. Lex Exid. This will be the last question for today. Lex asks, is studying the mechanics of mouth and tongue position important in pronouncing Korean? Yes and no. Eventually, everyone's going to get to the point where they're paying attention to the mouth position and tongue position people are doing to make the sounds more accurately. They're going to be like looking at their mouth and be like, oh, I should do that. Eventually, you'll kind of do that. Because in order to make the sounds perfectly, they say things differently. But you don't necessarily need to study that to learn it. You can also just listen to it a lot and try to imitate it as close as you can. And eventually, by imitating it, you're naturally going to make those correct tongue positions and mouth positions to do it quickly and to do it accurately. I don't think you need to study it separately, but it won't hurt. But as a beginner, I think it's not a good use of your time because you can always improve your pronunciation later, no matter what anyone tells you. It's not going to be permanent. The way you speak Korean now is not how you're going to be speaking Korean when you finish. That doesn't make any sense. You're going to, I'm way better. My pronunciation is way more natural than when I was first learning. And I would have sounded like this. 지금 시작하세요 is how I would have read 지금 시작하세요. I did not sound natural when I was a beginner. And just through lots of practice and lots of exposure, I got more natural. You can always fix your pronunciation later, so don't worry about it in the beginning. Instead, you want to focus on the grammar, vocabulary, you know, how to introduce yourself, how to actually do things, how to use the language first. And then later, when you start speaking and you feel like, you know, I'm not speaking as fast as I want, then you can start to fine tune your pronunciation or your intonation, all of those things. You can try shadowing, which is good. Yeah. Okay. All right. I think that is good. Well, here, let me just check to see if I'm missing any more. Yeah, I think that's all the questions for today. Thank you everyone for coming, and I will see you again next time. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.